Yeah, all good. Here we go. Going live. Good evening. I was going to go good morning Vietnam, but I won't 'cause it's not morning. Anyway, good evening. And I've got the wonderful Alan with me again tonight, Alan Whitehead. And you probably kind of heard from he was a drummer on the Marmalade, Marmalade on Your Toast. I don't know where they actually got the name from Marmalade, but I will ask Alan in a minute. Don't forget, guys, if you've got any questions tonight, please leave them in your column. We have got around about 7,000 people on our radio at the moment. Thank you very much. And our second part tonight is about. I'm going to ask him about Keith Floyd and his time, and also trying to get some other stuff out of him also. Anyway, Alan, how are you?
Well, I'm really good, thanks. Funny enough, I was just looking on YouTube because I'm amazed how many hits Reflections has had. And I think on one site alone there was 35 million. But what is more humbling is all the comments about it, which is quite
Yeah, yeah,
remarkable. It
yeah.
seems to have touched so many people. I know that it's a very popular song at people's funerals. Truthfully, it'd be the one I've requested when I leave my mortal coil.
You've got a long way. You've got a
Oh,
long way to go yet, Alan.
got a lot to
You,
do yet before I peg it. Yeah.
yeah, you've got a long way to go yet. Um, we finished off yesterday. We know about what you've been doing overseas when you're on tour and you're getting up to your old tricks. You know what you stars get up to back in the days. Um, how did you get on with Keith Floyd?
Keith Flow, you mean Keith Moon?
Keith Moon, sorry.
Well, Keith. I mean, Keith really was a one-off. All drummers hang out with drummers. So, and is that you?
Yeah, sorry. Go on.
So uh, drummers always sort of gravitate to each other. They're always the odd man out. And we were touring with the Who for a month. It was a really big, in the old days, you had really big tours. So the Who were top of the bill. There was the Herd, Traffic, Joe Cocker, us, and I think the Tremolos. It was a great tour, and so I would hang out with Jimmy Capaldi, or but Keith in particular, and he really was. All the stories you read, they're not exaggerated. I mean, when we were touring, his pharmaceutical of choice was elephant tranquilizer. That's what it's to take. I don't know how he functioned. I've never seen anyone take so many pharmaceuticals and drink so much and still function, but he did.
Did he used to do that when he was in concert too? When he was
Uh,
playing the drums?
I mean, he wasn't. Everyone says, was he a great rock drummer? No, no, he was out of time and he was a basher. He was great for the Who, very unpredictable. And we always used to, all the band would watch the Who backstage because every show they did was different. I used to, yeah, because, I mean, Keith, he just used to hit his drum kit with everything he had. I mean, bits, sticks would be flying everywhere. And but the guy that I really enjoyed watching was Pete Townsend. And I remember when we toured, he used to wear, if anyone out there saw the Who, it'll be 1968. But he used to wear a green Regency sequin jacket. Every time he hit, when he did that sort of, that power, every time he hit the strings, sequins would fly off. and with the spotlights on him, it looked amazing. I mean, they
Mm.
were such a unique band, very just a great show band to watch. I was a big fan of the Who anyway. I just loved their music, and so obviously hanging out with Keith was a bonus, really. I can tell you a story that I still remember, which sums up Keith really. So we're in Liverpool, and I'm staying at the Lord Nelson Hotel. I'm not sure whether it's still there, but anyway, I'm asleep, and it's about 4 in the morning. And then you know when you're half asleep and you hear, I heard all this noise, and I thought, the hell is that? It sounded like World War III going off or something. So I sort of half asleep, and then the phone ring, and I thought, wow. And I pick it up, and there's a very um, clipped English accent, and it said, "Is that Mr. Whitehead?" And I went, "Yes." He said, "This the reception here, sir. Um, we have a Mr. Moon in reception, and he wants to know if you can come out and play. Can you please come down, sir? He's letting off fireworks in the hotel lobby." I get through, and I go and I lean over, and I remember seeing Keith, and he's just, and I said, "Keith," I said, "It's 4 o'clock in the morning," and he went, and well, you know, I just thought I'd mention that, and then he said, "No, we're going out, Al." So I come down, and then he had this tin with full of God knows what, I don't know what they were, and he said, "Take some of these," and I went, "No, I'll be okay." He just took a handful and shoved them in his mouth. Well, that night, I know it took me a week to recover, so God knows what we got up to. He had a,
Yeah.
he was really very friendly to anyone. He was a natural. He didn't give a stuff about anything. So it was funny going out with him. He was very generous. And I saw him a week before he died, funny enough, in London. And I remember because the car that was, he didn't drive, by the way. He had somebody driving him, and the registration was W1 NO, Wino, which I thought was funny. Uh,
Was there any talk? What the rumor was going around, what I've been hearing, was there any talk at some particular point Keith asked you to join the U?
what, Marmalade, join us?
No, no, you supposed to, it was talk about you supposed to be leaving Marmalade and going to the Who.
No, never. The two bands that uh, before I joined Marmalade, I played with a group called The Attack. They've become a cult band now. Actually, their stuff on YouTube, and uh, I remember I got a call from Chaz Chandler one morning, who was the bass player for the Animals, but he'd just come back from America, and he rang me and he said he just found this great guitarist with crazy hair that played guitar with his teeth, and he was looking for a drummer, and it was Hendrix, you know, and it
Hmm.
was like about 9 in the morning, never a good time for people in the music. So I thought some black guy playing guitar with his teeth, well, that's not going to go anywhere. I didn't bother going. And anyway, when I met Jimmy, and I told him I told him the story in my own way. And I can still remember he was smoking the spliff, which he always did. And he choked on his spliff laughing. So I don't know what I'd said to him, and he became a big fan of Marmalade. He used to come and see us at the Marquee. And because Junior, if you think about it, Junior, our lead guitarist, was left-handed, the same as Jimmy, and he played exactly the same as Jimmy. He played a right-hand Fender, a white one, back to
Yeah,
front, tuned to open E. So Hendrix loved the band, and one of our tracks, "I See the Rain," which my friend Graham Nash produced for me, um, he voted it as his favourite single of '68. And if you hear "I See the Rain," it is. We didn't style it on Jimmy, but it sounds very Hendrixy. It's
yeah,
got that twangy guitar. It wasn't a hit in England; it was a hit in Holland and abroad, but not in the UK. And I still think it's a great song. But Hendrix loved it.
yeah, yeah. Did you go to Keith Moon's funeral?
No, I didn't. I didn't know when. I wouldn't say. I mean, when I say I knew him, yeah, we toured with him and went out with him. And I didn't have his number. I wouldn't say I was close friends. Just on tour and we hung out together. But all drummers did. So it was a month tour. He never came in the coach. We had a big coach. The Who, because they were top of the bill, they went in their own car. But everyone else, went in the bus like, well, except for Joe Cocker. Joe, he was the nicest man you could hope to meet, but he was still in his mind a plumber, and he slept. You really can't make this stuff up. He slept. He had a little minivan, and he slept in the van. And when he was due on, they just knock on the door, and he'd step out of the back of the van with all hair and just walk straight on stage. With like looking like a tramp. But it just didn't matter with Joe because that fabulous voice. And I love the fact he was very unassumingly normal, actually. Just a really genuinely nice guy. It was great fun being on a tour with all those musicians. We did have some fun in the coach, obviously, all together. But the Who never. They went in their own vehicles. They were obviously a big draw. And it was just a great privilege to see them every night. I remember because we would sometimes do two shows. You do an early show and a later show, and we couldn't go outside of the theatre because you get torn apart. So sometimes we hadn't eaten. I remember. I don't know why with the Who, but when the Who were on, all the fans were chucking them everything from toys to sweets to packets of crisps. The minute the curtains closed, we would be on that stage grabbing anything we could because we were starving. It was funny. It's typical. I remember in the middle of his act, somebody threw a teddy bear on stage, and he got off his drum kit in between the numbers, and he picked up the teddy bear, and he was stroking it. He was going and then he got it, and he kicked it as hard as he could into the audience. Everyone was going, "Oh, poor little teddy bear." But that was typical Keith. He had a really off the wall sense of humour, but very endearing to go out with. Great fun.
Yeah. I hear that he had a big funeral, didn't he, Keith?
Yes. I mean, he died at 32, and it died the classic way. I think the same as Hendrix died, choked on his own vomit. In fact, I really felt quite strongly about drugs when I had my kids, and I used to go out into the schools and do anti-drug lectures. Now, you can't really lecture young people about drugs. They've got to do what they got to do, but I could tell stories, and pretty much everyone I knew from that era that was heavily into drugs is dead now.
Yeah.
And it says it all.
The trouble is, though, in your era, people were on drugs, weren't they? It was drugs, rock and roll. Sorry, drugs, money, and rock and roll. That's all what it was about, wasn't it?
Well, I think, the group Marmalade were drinkers. We might have the odd split occasionally. I mean, when we used to drive, bearing in mind we're on the road all the time, we would be coming back from gigs, and in those days, the spliffs, marijuana, you just got the giggles and you got the munchies. You didn't, not the psychotic stuff they're smoking now, which you go completely brain dead with. Our idea of fun was to drive home. I didn't smoke, but if the group smoked a spliff, because the smoke was in the car, I get stoned anyway, and we listened to Cheech and Chong, and we just wet ourselves. We'd hear it over and over again, stoned, and that was the way we passed our time getting back home.
Did you ever go into different celebrity homes and stayed there and have all these parties and stuff?
I mean, I went to lots of parties because the clubs in those, like the Speakeasy, Revolution, Cromwellian, they were full of mostly musos, but actors and actresses, and you got to meet them socially, really. I mean, it's like I remember before Marmalade were successful, we were resident of a club called the Scottish St James. the very famous club. Louis Brown, the owner, I became really good friends with. But I remember one night I saw Hank Marvin, and I went up to him and I said, oh, "Good evening, Mr. Marvin." I was very polite, and I said, "Is your drummer here?" And he said, "Brian, yeah, come on." He grabbed my hand and he took me around the club and he found Brian, and he said, "Brian, this is the drummer with the group that's here. He just wanted to meet you." Anyway, years later, maybe just thinking, maybe 6 or 7 years later, I was dating a girl called Patrina Lorden, who was the ex-wife of Jerry Lorden, who wrote all the hits, wrote Apache and all that. And one night, Patrina, really pretty girl, she said to me, "We're going to dinner, we're going to town. I want you to introduce her to a really good friend of mine." I went, "Who?" She said, "Surprise." We went to a Greek restaurant in Soho, and it was Hank Marvin. And I've got to tell you, he's the nicest man you could possibly hope to meet. And I told him that story, and he said, "You know, really?" I went, "Yeah, it's not a thing I'd forget, Hank." And when we went down the street, he was walking out the restaurant. I've never seen one man mobbed by so many people, because he just looks like Hank. He's tall with the glasses and old, young, and he's just charming and polite to everyone. A real credit to the as a human being. Another guy that you'll hear the same. In fact, pretty much most people that I met, because you were a muso, they would treat you the same. We toured with Stevie Wonder, and I spent every night when the band would set up, they'd all go to the pub and they'd leave Steve on stage playing the piano, and I would sit by, I'd get a chair and sit by his side, just talking to him. He'd still carry on. Obviously, he hadn't got a clue who I was. No, couldn't see me. But and all he talked about was music, and he'd worked with everyone that I admired, Ray Charles, everyone. And when I see him on telly, I think, Jesus, I spent every night just talking to him. And the last night on the tour, he said to me, we've been chatting away, and he said, "Come closer, I want to see what you look like." And I thought, what? And I can still remember it. He ran his hands all over my face, had very soft hands. And he said, "I've really enjoyed talking to you." And a remarkable human being with no ego, just pure talent. I could say to him, like, "Give me that, my Sharia," and he'd just go straight into it. He was 3 foot away from me. His voice is exactly the same. All the crew, everyone adored him. Just a fabulous man. And he's a living legend now. So when I see him, I think, wow, I actually spent so much personal time with him, and he was just a delight to talk to. When you get to meet somebody like that, and you admire as an individual and a musician, and then to find a bonus, they're wonderful human beings. It's just fabulous.
Yeah. Who is your inspiration?
As a drummer or as a musician?
Well, both.
I think I was a big fan of Joe Morello, who was the drummer with uh, uh, Brubeck, Dave Brubeck Five, and then I went to a drum clinic, Louis Belson, who was a bit like Buddy Rich, Louis Belson, and Louis was just technically a genius. I sat with him and he was showing me, I just wanted to go and just quit drumming, because he was so technically brilliant, but so unassumingly nice and charming. And so I was a big fan of big band drummers like Buddy Rich, Louis Belson, all of those, Billy Cobham from the Mother Hessian Orchestra. These were technical drummers that you could only aspire to be as good if you had the hours to practice. But apart from that, who inspired me to go? When I was a young kid, I think the first group I ever saw was Gene Vincent. Funny enough, when I was about 15, at I used to live near Orpington, and the Civic Theatre, Civic Hall, Orpington, and Gene Vincent, and I thought, I fancied being a rock drummer, and I got my first drum kit and did the same as everyone else did. Joined the semi-pro band, and then eventually I turned pro with Crispy and St. Peters, who had the hit, Peter Smith, he's dead now, but had the hit with I'm a Pied Piper, number one, yeah. And I played on his album. The big mistake that Peter made, and he was such a lovely guy, I don't know what made him do it, but when he got to number one, he made the cardinal sin and said, as a publicity stunt, that he was bigger than Presley. You just don't do that, and that killed him stone dead. All the fans turned on him, and it was a bad mistake. I don't know what made him do that, because he wasn't like that. He was just I think it was the manager we have was a bit of a plonker, but it killed his career stone dead.
The trouble is, so when you're famous and gosh, go down a little. When you're in the media, don't you think that the agents do take a kind of sorry, they do take a mick out of you, the agents.
Well, we had a Peter Walsh was our manager, and we were with Starlight, which he owned. And I'd say Peter was, in his day, a really good manager, had a lot of power. And in those days, managers did manage. I mean, if he said jump, we said how high. As a manager myself now, you're sort of a consultant. None of the artists really want to listen to you. They think they know best. In fact, half the time, I don't even know why they bother having a manager. They all think they know best. They know jack shit, but there you go. I'm old school, and I remember those days when the managers were all celebrities in their own right, if you think about it. Well, that style of manager, Jonathan Shallett now, I guess, but I can't think or name one other charismatic manager of acts. But there's good and bad. When I became a manager, having been a musician for 12 or 13 years, I wanted to be, I thought having had the experience on the road would make me a better manager. And to a degree, there's some truth in that, because, nobody could say you don't know what it's like. Well, I know what it's like to be on the road and be broken. So it gives you a little bit more credence. There aren't many, to my knowledge, many people that have done the transition from artist to artist manager. It took me about 2 years to get it right, and then, well, not you toughen up, but you look after your interest. You have to be a manager, and I had a lot of contacts, and obviously being an ex-member of a famous band opens a lot of doors for you, because it just, people know who you are.
When you kind of like as an agent now, who do you actually kind of like support and manage now?
I manage a girl called Sahela Clifford, Katie Rayban. I worked with Steve Glenn, who was Mickey Most right hand man. Steve great, did Bucks Fizz, Hot Chocolate. We get on really well. We're similar age, so we manage and produce together. But I've got enough. The last big act, the last act that sort of started to make it, she was on X Factor, called Sada Bidu. And then the minute we got her, like, record deals being offered, she went off on a diva tangent, and we just dropped her. You can't. I've seen that diva syndrome happen a lot. Suddenly they think they know, and they never do. They don't. They won't let you manage them. And I suppose as I've got older, I've got minimal patience for stupidity now. I know what I'm doing. But the last big act, Mel and Kim probably. And even Mel and Kim do it. The minute they charted, I just got bought out by Mecca Leisure, and they screwed their own careers. Mel, when she died penniless. They wouldn't listen to me. They ran up these massive bills. The label obviously claimed everything against them. And I think there came a point when they told Peter Waterman they didn't want to record any more of his crappy songs after 4 big hits. A bad move. And they shelved them. But it's, you can't sell artists. If they know best, let them get on with it.
Yeah, but don't you think there are some dodgy managers out there?
Oh, there's dodgy managers. Listen, it doesn't matter what field of work you're in. There's dodgy people. I've never done anything. I've always played it. I was a fellow member of the Agents Association, and a member of the British Institute of Management, a Freemason. So we tried to do things properly, but there are obviously, there are dodgy people everywhere. I was very picky after having a lot of dealings with groups that got involved in drugs, like Amazulu Bellstars. They became heroin addicts, and
Yeah.
we would never deal anyone that had a serious drug problem. I just was. It would be hypocritical the way I felt about drugs, and I got two young children. I felt very strongly about it. But what
Yeah.
people do in their lives is up to them. So, in
Yeah.
answer to your question, there's good and bad in every walk of life.
Yeah. I had a dodgy agent, but I won't tell you that one is.
Yeah, I was primarily a manager. We had an agency, but I my staff did, because technically now you can't be a manager and an agent, although they're very similar. But an
Yeah.
agent employs people, and a manager is employed. You can't be a manager and an agent, even though a manager's job is obviously to negotiate or get obviously get work for his artist. But that's why, for instance, with PWL, Stock Aitken and Walkman, they had PWL label, and then they set up Mission Control, which they owned, but it managed the acts that they recorded. So they got the groups in a pincher grip. They couldn't really fudge. I found you're managing people if you don't have control of it. And it's fame and fortune, when success comes, if you've not got them on a tight rein, they'll blow it, they'll screw it up,
Mm.
sadly.
And I think that's what happened to Mel and Kim.
Yeah, they did. They blew it big time. I
Yeah.
mean, the tragedy is that Mel died at 23, I think, of. I knew she'd had cancer, but she didn't take it seriously, didn't take her medication. And I still got 7 tracks I recorded with Mel before we got involved with Kim. And I've had so many offers, but I don't know, I've not trying to financially benefit on somebody that's dead doesn't sit well with me. And I play them for my own amusement. Mel had a great voice, a better voice than Kim, very bluesy voice. So I've got a letter just today asking me again if I would digitally remastered it. They wanted to put it out, but I just don't think it. I don't need. It's not. I don't need the money. I just don't think it's a good thing. I'd rather remember Mel and Kim when I worked with them, and
Yeah.
sadly they didn't handle their success, and that they paid the price. Really tragic.
Yeah. What do you think about the X Factor?
I think it's done more harm to the music industry than any individual thing.
Do you think it's about money?
Well, of course, it's always about money. Simon Cowell, I know, the very clever man, but the contracts he had with his artists were totally illegal. However, you got away with that, I'll never know. Totally draconian and restrictive. And when you've got one person having a monopoly, it's never healthy. And I think he was the nail in the coffin for the music industry. He's made his millions, but the groups that signed to him, he milked them dry and spat them out at the end.
Mm. You don't see very many people now on the X Factor who made it to the final and won it. Who's made a single. You don't see them no more, do you?
I don't know, but I can't watch it. I found it an embarrassment, and I had Sada Vidu, but I knew she wouldn't go because she was under contract to me. They can only go so far, and I let them know if they tried to infringe her contract, I would sue them for inducement to breach. So I told the producer, if any moves made towards getting Sada out of her contract, I will sue you. So that's why she only got so far, then she was out. You only won that unless they managed you. It's so crooked, it's frightening. And then you got the voice. Well, who do you know is breaking through the voice? No one. It doesn't mean anything.
But don't you think that they're kind of like they're risking people's lives because they're turning up, they're open to win like a record contract probably. It's their life, they want to be what they want to be. Then you got like a kind of a company who wants to make billions and millions out of you.
It's always about money, Steve.
Of course it is, isn't it? Of course it is.
On one side, I can admire the way Simon Cowell's done it, but on the other hand, he's done so much harm. and he's playing on people's dreams. In my day, we like, if you think about it, I did, just thinking, 5-year apprenticeship before I had success. But now they want it yesterday. They don't want to work or rehearse or study music. They just want fame and fortune. It's a two-edged sword. If you haven't got the talent to maintain that, it will just come and bite you in the backside down the line.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You had
You
some
had some
up and
open.
sorry, this
Sorry,
volume.
before you.
You had
You
some
had
ups
some.
in your life. Can you tell me about your downs, the worst moments in your life? There must be some, wouldn't there?
Downs. I think I've lived a pretty charmed life, one way and the other. Even I don't know how I've got away with half of the things I've done. But downs in my life, uh, I think I think I lost my first wife, although we were divorced. But it was very sad. She died of ovarian cancer ago. A really beautiful model, Swedish model called Lena Skog. She died in 1998. I'm not actually a down person. Uh, my life has been really good, actually. I think I've had challenges, but if you have to rise to those challenges. I'm no different to anyone else. Things don't always run smoothly, but if you're, I used to use the word quitters never win, winners never quit, and it's really true. As long as you've got a focus and you're moving forward. I mean, you think of the guys I know that are my age now. I'm 76 this year, and they're just treading water waiting to die. I still work 7 days a week. I'm physically fit, and I run around like a loony. Just about to get married again, full time lucky. And
What? You're gonna get married again?
yeah, met the most. Even I have no idea, and believe me, I do not think I'm good looking or anything like that. If you saw my fiance, even my friends would go, "How the hell did you pull that?" I have no idea. She just thinks I'm crazy, but and she's half my age and strikingly beautiful.
Yeah, but
But listen, hey, knock it. Why knock it? I just think that'll do.
age doesn't matter, does it?
It it it, I, it doesn't. I mean, it's one of my friends, multi-millionaire friend of mine. I was talking to him about this about 10 years ago because the girl I lived with at the time was half my age, and I was saying about this, and he said, "Well, you've got to ask yourself how." And I think I was 60 then. He said, "Do you find women of 60 attractive?" And I went, no. He said, "Well, you've answered yourself, really, haven't you?"
Yeah.
My last wife, by the way, the third wife, she was 28. Even she gave up with me. Couldn't keep up. They just don't see. They get up and goes, got up and went. I don't know why I've got so much energy, but probably because I've got a slow heartbeat. Apparently, makes you like. That's why all my family have got. My gran was 105 when she died, so I guess I've got years yet before I shed my mortal coil.
No, you have got years yet. You're a
Yeah.
good man. You're a good man. Alan, what I'm trying to, I just want to ask one question to you because I think this is very important. Do you think these models and everything, sometimes models, I'm not saying everyone, I'm saying models sometimes and young women and everything, they attract money. Do you get me?
I think bearing in mind that for 10 years I set up or managed strip clubs, gentlemen's clubs. So we saw, and I've managed a lot of models as well. They're trading off the way they look, which always has a limited sell by date. So there is a price you pay to a degree, and you can't blame a good looking girl. She's got to capitalize on the best thing she can do is get somebody who's going to look after her because when the girls hit about 30, it's very few girls manage to keep their looks. It starts to go whatever. So I don't blame women for thinking I'm going to get myself a wealthy guy. that can look after me as I get older. Good luck. If I was a good-looking girl, I'd probably do the same. There's nothing wrong with looking after your future. I
Are
don't have.
you a wealthy guy?
I live a comfortable life. Rich, I mean, I hang out when I think I'm doing okay, but like my best friend, I mean, he's worth 300 million and then he lives in a house worth 30 mil. He's got his own private jet. And then you're talking rich. I don't have any of that. I've got a couple of cars, 2 homes, and I do whatever I want, whenever I want. And I think that if you judge people, I would say I've got good health and good friends. So from my way of thinking, I'm a rich person. But my
Yeah,
friend who's got all the money, he chain smokes, he's grossly overweight, he's a cardiac arrest waiting to happen.
yeah.
You can't really put a price on your health. So if I've got good health, and I'm lucky that I have such a massive cross section of really good friends. So if you can't weigh up things just about all the wealthy people I know. I often wonder if they're really happy. I don't know. I don't trust many people. I know that rich people don't trust because they know everyone's trying to get money out of them. They become very cautious and distrusting.
Now, do you think some of these people who has got money, got fame and everything, do you think they're better than everybody else?
I think there is a chance you can become arrogant, yes. And I think that the way the universe works, if you become arrogant through wealth, the universe is whole and complete in it the way it works. Nothing happens by chance, serendipity and synchronicity. Now I think that in life we all lead our lessons. If people focus on money, like if people approach me about management, I ask them what they want. They want to be rich, they want to be famous. It doesn't mean anything to me. I'd say what you've got to do is be the best you can be. Fame and fortune are a result of you being the best can be.
Yeah,
But if you
true.
don't have that focus, it's hollow. It won't keep you money. It just flows through your hands. I've had times when I've been a lot richer, and I've been time when I've been a lot poorer. But it all evens out. And now I don't really have. I don't have any fun. I live a good life. I wouldn't want to live in a big house anymore, and I wouldn't want the responsibility of driving a brand new Bentley or Ferrari. My cars are older, and I love the cars I've got. And um, uh, I mean, I've got one of my cars, the Mini. I've got a little Mini Cooper. I love it. It's like a go kart, and I drive it like a loony. They're fabulous little cars. But my first car was a Mini, so you can. And yeah, I've had Lamborghinis, every car you can think of, but having a cheaper car, they're less responsibility. I don't park it somewhere and worry somebody's going to mark it or anything like that. So you try and go for a less stressful life.
Yeah,
And it's just
yeah.
stuff anyway. When I do peg it, it's just stuff. What does it really matter?
You got a long way to go yet.
Oh yeah, I mean, I had an urge last year. I wanted to buy a big camper van, sell up, and just be a gypsy for the rest of my life. Just tour around Europe. Unfortunately, with Brexit, and as I've lost that idea. But eventually, in the future, I might well just buy a camper van and just become a gypsy.
No, you don't want to be a gypsy.
It's always the thought.
You stay out your way. You're a good man. You're a good man. Um, just the last couple of let's go to the radio and get some questions here, because right, okay. Bob wants to know. Alan, Marmalade. Wow, can't believe it. How long did you play drums for the? Sorry, how long did you play drums for the Marmalade? And what was your special moment you had with the Marmalade? Okay.
I joined Marmalade in the Christmas of 1967, and I'd say. I think when we charted with our first hit with Loving Things in 1968,
Oh, not that song.
and then when we got to number one, you really know you've arrived with Obla D. Obviously, when you get to number, it's a great feeling to achieve what you set out to do. I mean, I've got really happy memories of. When people ask what it's like, well, when you're in the middle of it all, you don't see yourself as famous or anything like that. But I love to travel, so for 11 years I was on the road, and I just loved meeting people and traveling. Um, it's if I hadn't have become a musician, I'd have probably joined the navy or something because we just wanted to travel. Marmalade or music is a great way to give you that travel,
Yeah.
and you meet people. We met. I mean, we ran the world well about 10 times with the band, and then another 20 times when I was managing people. I was on the road permanently because we were managing 50 acts, so they always wanted you with them. You know, well, they always wanted me. I could never delegate. They always said, no, if you're with us, you don't put up with any crap. So, which is true. I can be hard-edged at times, and that's why all the acts wanted me with them.
Roger's saying here, he's saying, hi Steve, thank you very much for a great 2 night show. It's been brilliant. Good to know around about. Good to know about Alan. Alan is a funny guy, but he doubt he's straight. Would it be possible if you could ask Alan for an autograph for me? Um, I will do. I will ask Alan, and if you leave me your name and address, I'll see what I can do. I don't like usually asking people, but
No,
I'm,
Steve,
I'm
it's no problem at all. If you get your name and address, I'll send you a. I've got some pictures of just me on my own playing drums with the band. Happily
yeah.
send them.
Okay. Okay. Brilliant. Yeah, that's fine. Actually, I'll have one of them too. Um, and a jumbo jet if it's possible.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. If you leave your name and address, Alan will sort it out for you, and we'll get it sent
I
to
mean,
you.
if anyone is watching this, they want to see loads of pictures. I have my own website because I've written 2 books, and it says all the management things I do. But more
Don't
important,
say about your books. Don't say about your books.
I've got 2 books. I'm writing my
Yeah, I
third.
know you have. I know you have, and I was gonna come on to that later.
But
Not tonight.
if you go onto the website, which is it's dead easy, it's Alan Whitehead.biz. You'll see the whole gallery of pictures with different pop stars, and
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah.
done. If people are interested, it's everything that's about me is on that website. You can buy the books if you want. They're not about music. The third one is about music,
Yeah,
but the other two are about the meaning to life, strange though it may seem.
that's good. Yes, we are, but he doesn't know that yet. So he was mentioning about his books, and we were going to come on to that on another time. So I will definitely get him back. He's probably bored with me by now, anyway.
No, that's all.
Um, Not at all. See, there you go. Good man. Um, what was it like to be a star?
Wait, just one question for Steve. You know, I can see you. Does that mean a lot of your listeners can see me as well?
Yes, you can.
Oh, great. Okay. I didn't realize. You ask when you're actually. Yeah, I never saw myself as a star, and neither did the group. You don't think because I tell you what changes. You can only ever be you. Whatever you do, whether you're a Tesco checkout or if you're like a rock star, you can only ever be you. And when you wake up and you look in the mirror, it's just looking at you. But what does change is the way people perceive you. So you just see yourself as I just see myself as me, but
Mm.
other people see you as like as an example. All right, when I was in Marley, people see you as a rock star. When I became a father, my kids see me as a dad. When I became a manager, people see you as a manager.
Mm.
It's how other people see you. You don't see yourself that way. And if you do, those people that have got caught up with themselves and ego takes over, they somehow, for me, everyone I've ever met like that people can't get close to them because they put themselves on a pedestal. It's a false belief. Ego is a false belief.
Yeah, they
I,
think they're special, don't they?
Yeah, I'd always like to think. Certainly, Marmalade were very grounded. They were down to earth Glasgow boys, and they would speak to anyone. It didn't
Yeah.
matter. And I'd like to think that my parents brought me up to have. If people approach me politely, then I would always be polite. If people are rude, we just walk away. You think, why would I get involved with this? And
Well, you've always been nice to me. You've always
well,
been nice to me, Alan.
I've no reason not to be. You know, but like
Mm.
everyone, there is a point when I'm not an aggressive or an argumentative person, but if I think something is, if people, there are people, there are trolls and
Of
like on
course.
Facebook, and the minute people get resentful or angry, I just delete them. It's if they want to have a go about something, just delete them. I haven't got the patience, but
Mm.
thank God it's very rare. Mostly when I go out and if I meet people, they're normally very complimentary, or they
Mm.
mention they might have seen me play, or they tell me the records they like, and so I'd say, in answer to your question, you if you're well balanced, you don't see yourself as a star. And I've met people that like when you meet real stuff. For me, when you meet real stars like Roy Orbison or Stevie Wonder, or these people, they're real stars. I mean, you
Mm.
can't see yourself equate
Oh,
that you are that they are they're so beyond the so I've always been humbled that and I've always been found them when I've met these people because they hadn't even didn't know who I was, but if you're polite to them, they're normally polite back.
yeah. Well,
So
put it this way, you're a star in my eyes because I love to meet you because you're a top guy and you've always been okay with me. And my fans out there have been loyal to me. And I've got 7,000 people here now, right? And you know what they're saying to me is this? They're saying Alan is a top man, top man, top man. Oh, I'd love to meet this guy. Brilliant. Um, bring back the marmalade. That's what we need. Instead of all the rest of the crap that's out there at the moment. Bring back it. Which is true, isn't it? Let's bring back the marmalade. I
well,
tell you what.
yeah, but sadly, as you know, Dean and Pat are no longer with us.
I know, I know, I know.
I
I,
speak to Junior, who runs the affairs of the old band, but the thought of that, people said, would you like? I was going to go back on the road, but you know what? I think it's best to let sleeping dogs lie. We had the best out of it, and
yeah,
there's
yeah.
other things that I want to do, but sometimes I can still play. I've got a practice kit. I can still play drums, but my focus is elsewhere now. I look back with really fond memories of my time with the band and with other bands and working with the bands, and music has always been my love, even though I would never class myself as a great musician. I think I winged it well as a drummer, but it was just a means to an end.
Oh, come on. You were a bloody good drummer, you were, weren't you?
That's kind of you to say so, but I enjoyed what I did, and it's the opportunities that I was given. And I grew up in an era when the people watching will know, if you look back on the music from the 60s and 70s, it it really was a golden era for music. So many legends came out of that era. I mean, when I think of like the first time I saw Hendrix play, we had never seen anyone play a guitar like that. We were on the Isle of Wight
Mm,
festival with him, and uh, we were just we just stood and mesmerized
mm,
by watching this guy make love to his guitar. There were so many iconic, unique artists the way they describe it is that if you think about all the groups from my era, like the Who were different to the Tremolos, who were different to the Beatles, who were different to the Rolling Stones. Every group was different. Now they're all just jelly mold out. They all sound the same. They all look the same. They're all programmed the same. But in my day, if you like, not only did the groups sound different, they looked different. They had different personalities. They grew organically without media, and they all had their own unique sound and feel and personality, which made it so interesting, I think.
Mm.
And
Let's
that's what
go.
that era of music is. I was lucky to be part of it.
Let's go on to the Rachel here. Um, Steve, would it be possible if you can do a meet and a greet sometime with Alan? Interesting guy. Love to hear more about his stories and everything. Some of it made me chuckle. Love to have a meet and a greet. Well, the trouble is, we are planning things again. It was not with Adam, we wasn't, but with other people. But I will ask him if it's possible. But
Always
we,
possible, as long as
is
they're
it?
buying a drink. I'll tell them stories all night.
Well, there you go. It's always possible. So I will speak to him about it, and as long as his fee is not kind of like big enough, I can't afford that. Then we can sort something out. But let
Funny
me.
enough, Steve, all my friends, they if I'm going out and I'm not going to drive, I don't drink and drive, but they ply me with Jack Daniels, and then they go, tell us more stories, because it can just go on and on and on. Uh,
Oh,
and,
good. We'll leave you a bottle of Jack Daniels then. Forget about your fee.
oh, I could tell stories that make your toenails curl, but it was, most of it is just funny because it wasn't, we weren't, Marmalade weren't that, we didn't go wrecking hotels or anything like that, but they were quite a handful in many ways, and they weren't for the weak-hearted, but it's
Yeah,
just a whole sense of humour. It,
yeah.
it I think the stories, if I get into, I've had a few drinks and they all come flooding back. Thank God I've got a good memory, and even I can't believe some of the things we got up to. Um,
Yeah.
which I mean, I don't know how long we've got, Steve. I can tell you one funny story, which is
Okay.
actually nothing to do with Marmalade, but it personifies my cavalier approach to life. When I was a manager, well, I was managing lots of girls, big touring, like a female Chippendale show. I was
All right.
introduced to a guy called Sheikh Solomon Al Kahini, who was a billionaire sheikh who had his, anyway. And the guy that introduced me said, you should, he said to the sheikh, you should meet this man here. So the sheikh said to him, why should I meet this man? And my friend said, because he manages some of the best looking girls in London. So the sheikh said, okay, I meet him. So I met him, and his assistant said to me afterwards, His Highness would like your phone number. He wants to invite you on his jet to go on a trip one weekend. I went, yeah, sure, here's my number. Anyway, about 3 days later, I get a call, and I'm with my girls. We're up north somewhere doing a gig or something. And she says to me, His Excellency would like to invite you and any of your friends on a trip to, where were we going? Greece, I think, or somewhere, um, uh, on his jet. So there was four of my girls and said, yeah, we'll come with you, Al. So they said, we'll send a limo for you, pick you up at the American Embassy. Went out to Stansted, and I was thinking a private jet, like a Learjet.
Yeah.
It was a 707. The three, yeah. So we go on the jet, and I see the sheikh, and he's got his bodyguards with him. And I went, hello, Your Highness, whatever. And I introduced the girls, and it was very polite. And the plane had been gutted, and we went into the restaurant part, and we started drinking crystal champagne. And the sheikh was somewhere else playing backgammon, I think. And then there was another girl that joined us that wasn't part of my team of girls. Anyway, we got pretty wasted. And then this other girl, I can see her face, but I can't remember her name. Anyway, she says to me, would you fancy joining the Mile High Club? And I went, well, I'm so drunk, I'm having trouble talking. But I said, where? She said, well, he's got a private bedroom with a jacuzzi. So you can't really make this stuff up. So I'm on my hands and knees because I can't walk. And I crawl along to this. We go through into his private bedroom, the round bed. And we get in this jacuzzi. And I'm trying to do the dirty D, but I'm so drunk, I fall on top of her. She whacks her head off the enamel of the bath. I knock her out and I flood his bedroom. And I'm thinking, oh, Jesus. Then I hear the door knocking. And I went, hello? And I hear the sheikh's voice, who's in there. And I said, it's me. And he said, can you step out of a moment? So I get out, I get dressed. I open the door. He looks in and sees his bedroom is flooded, and there's a naked girl unconscious in his jacuzzi. And he calls me over, and I look at his bodyguards, and they're looking at me with their eyes rolling. You're in trouble. And the sheikh says, by that time, I'm so drunk, he's no longer your highness or your excellency. I've got my arm around him. I'm calling him soul baby. So I says to him, what's up, soul baby? To Solomon. And he said, I tell you what's up. He said, there's a naked girl in my jacuzzi. She's unconscious. My bedroom is flooded. And your girls are running up and down the plane with no clothes on. And there's one of your girls naked sitting on the pilot's lap. I went, Jesus Christ. And he laughed and he said, you've been on my plane 2 hours. You've caused complete chaos. From now on, I'm going to call you Captain Chaos. And from that point, he never went anywhere without me. And I spent a year running around with this crazy sheikh. I could I could write a book just on those experiences, but it's just one of 1,000 stories that just go on and on and on.
Yeah.
But
Look,
just funny, really.
brilliant. I love it. Thank you very much for your time for the last 2 nights. It's
That's
been brilliant. It's been brilliant. I've got people kind of like contacting me left, right, and centre, and I'll see what I can do, guys. I tell you what, you are brilliant, really good.
Where are you based, Steve? You up in Manchester?
Yeah, we're based in the southwest,
Where?
Exeter way.
Oh, really? Because I've got a house in Cornwall. I go past Exeter quite regularly.
Do you?
Yeah, well,
What
and
we
my house
do?
is empty.
What we do? Don't say very much on here. What we do? I will talk to you in a minute offline. Okay?
Yeah, okay. And if I'm that way, I'll happily pop in. But
Yeah,
it's
brilliant. Yeah.
good to know there's still some retrobates out there who find my stories amusing.
Hey, I'm not a retrobite. I love you, really. I'd love to meet you. I'm telling you, honestly, brilliant. You're a top guy. I've always been a fan of yours, but shh, be quiet. Anyway, guys, I've got to go. I tell you what a man, Alan Whitehead. What a dream. I tell you what, you know, Marmalade. You should go back and watch all the videos and learn the drums or something like what Alan did. Brilliant. And in the meantime, I'm gonna come off because I've got another show. Then I've got to contact. No, I haven't got no other show. I've just been told, but I've got to do something else. Then I will contact Alan and see what we can arrange and everything. In the meantime, guys, stay safe because you never know. If you don't come famous, that's it. People just ignore you. But at the end of the day, be strong. Like Alan. Alan, I tell you what, congratulations on getting married again. Don't
Yeah,
forget my don't forget my invite
you're on.
to you. Okay, so thank you guys. I'm gonna see what I can do about bending his arm again about seeing him getting back on again. Third episode. Should we do it? Yeah. All right then. See you later, guys. Bye bye. See you.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Adam Whitehead. What a gentleman. Brilliant. Love the guy. Really good. And it's good when people who are famous, who's got everything, and got life and everything, that they kind of spend so much time with you. And you know, I must admit, I used to be well, I'm still am a big fan of theirs. It's not because because I'm talking to them because I'm a fan, but I've always been a fan of theirs. Anyway, I've got to go because my wife wants to watch the telly. But I'll see you soon. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.